Hi, I'm Sterling Bullock, and I'm doing my project on the Cultural history. The Ku Klux Klan, also known as the KKK, is a white supremacist organization that was founded in 1866. Throughout its notorious history, fractions of the secret fraternal organization has used acts of terrorism, including murder, lynching, arson, rape, and bombing, to oppose the granting of the civil rights to African Americans, diverting its membership from native-born white Protestant USA citizens. The KKK has also been anti-Semitic and anti-Catholic, and a view of ad racial pure. How did the KKK impact in the United States? The KKK didn't impact in the United States exactly. It more impacted the South. This notorious issue and situation that started in 1866. I'm not saying that it didn't hurt the states in any way, because it did, but it was mainly and mostly aimed at the South. This didn't just impact the USA, it left a mark in our history books, a hurtful and disgraced time period. African Americans were scared for their lives. Even to this day, it's a hard topic to even talk about. It's a topic that never comes up in conversation because of what happened wasn't right. After slavery happened, this came slowly after, but then racial segregation started, but that got abolished by the Civil Rights Act of 1964. This is not just a hard topic to African Americans, but to every race. This affects us all. How did the KKK impact in the world? The KKK didn't impact the world. It impacted the states. This was a United States issue, not the world's. Other countries knew what was going on, but it didn't impact them. It might have made them look at Americans differently and hurt their souls, but it definitely didn't impact them. From everything that I have researched, nothing has come up for any other nations getting impacted on this issue. These pictures were taken in true events. The picture on the right shows two black men hanging from a tree that was done from the picture on the left, and that is representing the Ku Klux Klan. Freedom riders were civil rights activists who rode interstate buses into the segregated southern United States in 1961. In subsequent years, in order to challenge the non-enforcement of the United States Supreme Court decisions. Morgan v. Virginia, 1946, and Byington v. Virginia, 1960, which ruled that segregated public buses were unconstitutional. This bus got attacked by the KKK. Timeline. 1866, the Ku Klux Klan is founded. 1867, former Confederate general and noted white supremacist Nathan Bedford Forrest, archivist of the first Pillow Magnet, became the first Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. The Klan murdered several thousand people in the former Confederate state as an effort to suppress the political parties of black Southerners and their allies. 1868. The Ku Klux Klan publishes its organization and principles. Although early supporters of the Klan claimed that it was philosophically as a Christian patriarchal organization rather than a white supremacist group, a serious glance at the Klan's catechism reveal of otherwise. The inalienable right to self-preservation is a clear reverse of the Klan violent achieves, and in its embrace, even as the early stage, is clear white supremacy. 1861, Congress passed the Klan Act, allowing the federal government to enforce the arrest Klan members on a large scale. Over the next several years, the Klan largely disappears and it's replaced by other violent white supremacist groups. 1905, Thomas Davidson Jr. adapts his second Ku Klux Klan novel, The Klansman, into a play. Although fictional, the novel introduced the During Cross as a symbol for the Ku Klux Klan. Although Devin implies that the Klan had always used the burning cross, it was in fact his invention. Jackson drawn adoption for the Klan presented less than a half-century after the American Civil War began the long dormant organization. 1915. D.W. Griffin's widely popular film Birth of the Nation, an adaptation of Dickens's The Klanman, reviewed nation's interest in the Klan. A Georgia Lynch mob led by William J. Simpson included numerous prisms but enormous members of the community, such as former Georgia Governor Joe Brown, murders Jewish factor Supreme Richmond Lee Franks, then burns a cross on a hilltop and dumps itself the knife of the Ku Klux Klan. 1920. The Klan became a more public organization and expanded its platform to include prohibition, anti-Semitism, xenophobia, anti-communism, and anti-Catholicism, spurred on by the romanticized white supremacy history portrayed in Birth of Nation. Bitter whites throughout the country began to form local Klan groups. 1925. Indian Klan Ground Dragon D.C. Stephenson is convinced of murder. Members swiftly began to realize that they may actually face criminal charges for their behavior, and the Klan largely disappears except the South, where local groups continued to operate. In 1951, members of the Ku Klux Klan firebombed the house of NACB, Florida Executive Director Harry Trayson Moore, and his wife Harriet, on Christmas Eve. Both are killed in the blast. The murders are the first high-profile Southern Klan killings among many during the 1950s, 1960s, and 1970s, most of which either go unprotested or result in equalities by all white jurors. 1963. Members of the Ku Klux Klan bombed the predominantly black 16th Street Baptist Church in Birmingham, Alabama, killing 4 little girls. 1964. The Mississippi chapter of the Ku Klux Klan firebombs 20 prohibited black churches, and then, with the aid of local police, murders civil rights activists James Chaney, Andrew Gordman, and Michael Stuerner. 2005. Editor Ray Killen, the archist of 1964 Shelley Gwen Stuerner murders, is convicted on manslaughter charges and sentenced to 60 years in prison.